Yesterday we have been discussing the shear of schach pasel. We saw a machloikis between Rav and Shmuel. According to one lashon, Rav said it's 4 tefachim. According to the second lashon, he said it's 4 amis. Shmuel said it's 4 tefachim in the middle of the sukkah, but in the side it's 4 amis, but in the middle of the sukkah it's 4 tefachim. In other words, it's going to divide the sukkah. If you have 4 tefachim going across, it's going to divide the sukkah. And the Rav was makely said 4 amis. So we're up to Amar Abaya. We're up to Yud Ches Amid Aleph. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11 lines down. Amar Abaya. Avir Shloisha B'Sukkah Gedoyla. An avir of airspace of three B'Sukkah Gedoyla. Umiya 2. And then you go ahead. So that's puzzle. Umiya 2. And then you diminish it. Bein B'Konim. Whether you're using reeds, which is kosher schach. Bein B'Shpudim. Or you diminish it using non-kosher schach. Have a miyot. Then it would be a good miyot. So in other words, you have an opening that's this big, 3, and now you make it this big. You make it this big, regardless if you're using a kosher means or a non-kosher means. Since the non-kosher means is not 4 tefachim, it itself is not enough to be passel. As long as you get rid of the psul, which is open 3 area, you're good. That's in a large sukkah. However, b'sukkah katana, if it's a small sukkah, and now you're going to diminish it using 2 things, right? Airspace and shpudim have a miyut. So if you have let's say the sukkah, guys, the sukkah is zayin tefachim. It's exactly zayin tefachim. Of the zayin tefachim, you have airspace that's 3. Good. So now it's not good. If you aired 1 tefach of schach, now you only have 2 tefachim of airspace. The sukkah is good. The sukkah is good. However, if you go ahead and add airspace, to diminish the airspace, you would use shipudim, then it's not good. Says the Gemara, why not? Bekanim having miyut, bishpudim loy having miyut. V'hani mili min atzad, it's only on the side. Although the emsa, that's a machlokes. We'll get to in a second. Let's see Rashi on these words. Guys, why by shipudim would it not work? Says the Gemara, bishipudim, loy have a miyut. By shipudim, it's not considered a miyut. So even though you don't have airspace to passel, because it's less than 2, and even though you don't have arbet tefachim, which is 4, you don't have arbet tefachim, which is 4. Either way, you don't have. So why is it not good? Why is the sukkah not good, guys? It's a sukkah of 7. You don't have 3. You don't have 4 tefachim of non-kosher schach, and you don't have 3 tefachim of airspace. Says Rashi Yisoid, Kivan the Ikka Gimel tefachim bahadadi. Since you have 3 tefachim of non-kosher schach and airspace together, the nafke mehechsher sukkah that takes away from the hechsher sukkah, chashivi bapi nafsh, it's considered by itself. And it doesn't combine together. Less the shiur the sukkah, you don't have the shiur of the sukkah. So guys, watch. If you have a large sukkah and you have an airspace of 3, as long as you diminish that airspace to 2, you're good. Anything less than 3, you're good. Even if you're using non-kosher schach to go ahead and diminish, you're good. It doesn't make a difference. You're good. On the other hand, if your whole sukkah is 7 to begin with, and of those 7, you have 3 area of airspace. So if you take a reed and put it there, that would be okay. So now you have 7. You have 7 of a sukkah. Only 2 of the airspaces is no good. That's not the shear apostle. So you have a kosher sukkah. Conversely, if you went ahead and took a non-kosher schach and put it over here, we don't view it as you only have 2 now, because we have to come on all together, these 3, to make the sukkah. That we won't do. To go ahead and make these 3 into a sukkah, we won't do. So that's the lashon of the Gemara, when the Gemara says, in the middle of Yud Ches, when it says, you have an airspace of 2 in a large sukkah, that you mamayit, it would work whether you use both konim and or shipudim, but ketana, a small sukkah, big konim, if you use konim, having miyot. However, bishpudim, loy having miyot, then it's not a good miyot. Bahani mili minat sad, and this machlok is speaking minat sad. Avo be'emsa, in other words, if I go ahead and I diminish from the airspace on the side. That's what we're talking about until now. Ava be'emsa, in the middle of the sukkah, pligi bar Rav Acha Ravina. We have machlokas between Rav Acha Ravina. Chadam yesh lavud be'emsa. One says you say lavud in the middle of a sukkah. Chad Amar ein lavud be'emsa. And one says what? You do not say lavud be'emsa. So the shaila over here is the following. Page 62. Let's look at this picture. Page 62. Look at this picture over here. You have you have airspace that's 3 tfachim. You have airspace that's 3 tfachim. It's going across the whole slats of the sukkah. Guys, notice it goes from one side of the sukkah to the other side of the sukkah. It's chaytzeitz the sukkah. Now here the shaila is, do we say lavud or not? Here the shaila is, do we say lavud or not? If we say lavud, we'll go ahead and diminish the amount. If not, not. And that's going to be a machlokes. Says the Gemara. Where's the machlokes? Who's the Tana who says that we do say lavud in the middle of a sukkah? Who's the Tana that we said you do say lavud in the middle of a sukkah? The Tanya. If you have a beam that goes out of one side, but it doesn't reach the other side, we're speaking like by a kaira, by a mavoi. Remember, you can't carry from, we're worried that you may come to carry from a mavoi to a rishus harabim, which is this late saw. So you have a beam over here, and the beam should go across, and that beam is going to help seal off or be marker where the works that it works us beam where you see it. Then the halacha will be you're good. What happens if it's within 3? So that's minat sad, right? So it's minat sad. So now, if the kaira is within 3 tefachim of the kaisel, the ain't a gas b'kaisel, but doesn't touch the kaisel. Echad. The chain shtei kairos. You have two beams. Achas yotzim kaisel zeh. The achas yotzim kaisel zeh. One goes out of this wall, and one goes out of the other wall. You see the two, they're in the middle, and they're what? They're not touching each other. So this is in the middle of a sukkah. The meeting in the middle of a sukkah. That then also, what's the halacha? Ain't it tzarich lehevi kaira acheres? You don't have to bring a what? A pachas misleisha. Ain't it tzarich lehevi kaira acheres? So guys, whether it's this or this, as long as it's been 3, it's considered attached. So like this mandiyama, you do say lavud be'emsa, correct? One beam is going out one way, one beam is going out the other way. It's in the middle of the mavui. You're going to say that it is connected be'emsa, and therefore that's the mandiyama would say in the middle of a sukkah. We also say be'emsa lavud. If you want to know the mandiyama who says that lavud in the middle of a sukkah, this is the mandiyama. The same mandiyama who says lavud by a kaira, by a beam. Very geshmak. Now. 3, you're going to have to bring another one. Why? Because it's not a good kaira. The idach and the other one, meaning the mandamu says you do not say be'emsa, guys. Mandamu says you do not say be'emsa. What does he do with the raya from kaira? L'chayra has an open raya from kaira. You do say be'emsa, right? So what does he do with it? The one by sukkah, what's the shaila? L'chayra, you have an exact case. If this by a kaira works, why doesn't it work by putting a sukkah together? You have schach on the sukkah, just like this works if it's less than 3. This should work less than 3. So what's his shaila? The idach and the mandam who does not agree with this. Why not? Any kaira is the rabbanon. Kairos were makel, it's all the rabbanon. We all know, fellas, the whole din of Eruv is midrabanan. Why? I saw is from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaRabim. If you're going from your Rishus to a Chatzar, that's not Rishus HaRabim, Rishus HaYachid, it's all Rishus HaYachid. If you go to a Mavoi, but this with Geyser, since there's separate jurisdictions to avoid, again, as we spoke many times, the Malacha Gerua of what? Of Itzah, therefore what we're makel over there. Mashen came by sukkah to be mashir a sukkah, which is the rice and tikkadin. We will not go ahead and say it works be'emsa. My time in the mandiyama ain love of be'emsa. What's the time of the mandiyama says ain love of be'emsa? So here we have a very, very, very cute picture. Okay, you have a house. You have a skylight in the house, and the skylight is a tefach wide. Now we're going to see it doesn't make. So you have a piece of mace in the house. And 2 objects. One object is directly under the skylight, and the other one is in the house. Now the one in the house will be tamei because it'll contract tumah from the mace. Conversely, the one that's on top, pesach tefach, that will be tahar. That'll be tahar. It's not considered in the same room. Since it has a skylight over it, it's not considered what in the same room. So the picture. Okay, so let's see. What's man the aim love of so that nan aruba sheba bayis. You have an aruba, a window in a house. Uba pesach tefach, and that has to open tefach. Tuma babayis, kula. Tuma babayis kula tamei. If you have tuma in the house, everything in the house is tamei. Masha kenegdu aruba, what's connected the skylight is tahar. Tuma keneged aruba. If you have tuma opposite the side skylight, kolabayis kula tahar, because we will view the tuma as going up the skyline and not remaining in the house. Ein baruba b'sei tefach, then tuma b'bayis keneged aruba tahar. The same din. Tuma keneged aruba kolabayis kula tahar. Right. So there, what do you see? You see that we don't say lovewood because if you say lovewood, guys, it's less than a tefach. If you say lovewood, the whole thing would be closed and the whole house would be tamei. Yeah. In other words, this whole thing wouldn't begin, right? The head of the skylight is because we don't say lovewood. Of course, it's in the middle. If you'd say lovewood, we'd view it as closed, and the whole house would be tamei. We make this distinction of what's connected the skylight or not. The idach, the man Diamu says you do say lovewood in the middle. How come he doesn't? What does he do with this raya from Tumah? What does he do with this raya from Tumah? Shiny hilchos Tumah. The hachi gemirilu. It's a lachal mashmi Sinai. That's the way it was learned. Okay, so just the chazar riba. What do we see so far? We have a shaila. You have an aruba in the middle of the house. You have machloikis, whether you say love it or not. Two things. One man who says love it, you're being arrived from kairos, which beams. The other one didn't like it because that's the rabbanon. The one who says you don't say be'emsa. He learns it from the skylight. We're viewing the skylight as open rather than closed. It's one tefach. Again, one tefach should be considered closed. The whole house should be tamei. We don't say that because it's in the middle. And the Mandiyam who says you do say it, obviously it's a lachamash misina over there that you don't. So that's what we're holding so far. Finish it. Let's continue the Gemara. Darish Rabbi Yehuda bar Eloi, Bayesh nifchas v'sikach al gabav. This is the case of the Mishnah we had, right? If the house falls in, middle, as long as you have within 4 amas, it's kasha. Less than 4 amas, it's pasul. Why? Less than 4 amas, it's kasha. More than 4 amas, it's pasul. Because we're going to say dofen akuma, right? We're going to say the wall curves down. Amar lefan Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Brisi. Rabbi Perish, my father explained, Rabbi Perish, kach Perish Abba. Arba amas psula. If you have arba amas from the walls, it's pasul. Pachas mi arba amas kshera. Mamish the mission that we had earlier. But now we go to, since we're speaking about drushes of Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi is another one. Darish Rabbi Yehuda bar Eloi, avruma, a fish called the avruma. It was a tiny little fish. Sharia, you're permitted to eat it. Now the concern over here, it's a tiny little fish. It's very hard to discern whether it has scales, but it's very easy to get mixed up with non-kosher fish. So, however, this you could eat because you're not worried about getting mixed up, right? It's why you. So I'm the fun Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Perish, Kachama Abba. This is my father Rabbi Shmuel said, Shalmok employing asura, place so and so the asur, because other non-kosher little fishalach will be there and you get mixed together. Shalmok employing, however, in another area, makamploni muteres. Then you would be able to go ahead and eat it. It'll be muta. Why? Because it's the unique fish that's only there. There's no pictures of the fish in the book. They go ahead and limit that to sukkah. Okay. Kihodam Rabaya. Haitzachanto, it's a small fish. The Bav Nahara, the river Bav, Sharia, it's permitted to eat. Weren't you worried it's going to get mixed up with other little fish? No, you're not. My timer, if the river Bav, it has a swift current, v'hai dag tome, and a non-kosher fish, kivin de lesle chut hashidra, since they don't have a spinal column, loy matzi koyim, they won't be able to go ahead and live there. In other words, the current goes so fish that the fish doesn't have the backbone, right, to go ahead and survive. So you're gonna go ahead, and therefore the only one that would be kosher was one that has a backbone. Someone who has a backbone, some kind of strong guy who could take on anything. Nothing bothers him, right? There's nothing that he can't do, right? There's nothing whatsoever he can't do. Especially certain people, strong as Goliaths, right? Go ahead. So therefore, we see these non-kosher fish, they do survive a swift current. You're going to say that it's exceedingly salty. And since non-kosher fish don't have scales, the salt permeates their body and gives them incredibly high blood pressure, right? That they're not able to survive, right? Even the Leslie kilpi and doesn't have scales. So lack of backbone, a lack of scales don't seem to be a problem. So how can you eat the sachanta of this river? Why is it permitted? The fish get fertilized in the silt, right? It's external fertilization. It takes place in the silt. So this river did not go ahead and permit the other fish except these kosher fish. Therefore, you were able to eat it. However, in the time of Ravina, the Shafchi, Nohar Esan, Vinar Gamda, to this river Bav came in other rivers, such as the river Esan and the river Gamda, Lahasam to over there as Siri. They brought their own silt. And in that silt, the non-kosher fish could go ahead and multiply, and therefore you can go ahead. Right? And the reason why we digressed into this is because of Rabbi Yehuda Bar Ilai, the speaking, and Rabbi Shmuel of Yaisi. Itmar, back to Sukkah Erevin. Itmar. Sikech al gabi achsadra sheyesh la ptsimim. Okay, this picture is worth it. Page 63. Page 63. You're using the back of the houses as walls. It's a distance away from the wall. So what you're doing is you're putting up posts. And if you put schach on those posts, it'll be okay. The Gemara will describe halacha, what happens if there's no posts. But right now, those are psimim, those are posts. So you see, you have psimim, those posts. There's been more than 4 amis. We're not going to say dofen akuma. So then it will be okay. Itmar. Sikach hagabi achsadra sheyesh la psimim kshera. Shein la psimim. Abaya ama kshera. For Rava ama psula. Abaya says kshera. And Rava says what it is possible. Abaya ama kshera amid base. And everyone smile. Abaya ama kshera. Amrina and what? Where do we say? Hitikra yari v'saisim. We say a halacha of good achis. There's a halacha of good achis, guys, that we view a wall or an edge of a wall, we'll view it as coming down. Take a look, page 64, and the first picture, 2205. See the picture in a second.
I Rabbi Stern.
Look, so there it is. You say Pitikra or Yari V'Saisim. We're going to see why you don't say the regular wall in a second. What's the problem? So now, if you Abaya says it's kosher because we say Pitikra Yari V'Saisim. Rav Amar Psula Lo Yamina Pitikra Yari V'Saisim. Rashi says Amina Pitikra Yari V'Saisim b'chol tzad each side, and Rav Amar Psula Lo Yamina Pitikra Yari V'Saisim. Can the farish time come on? We're going to see the later tomorrow, guys. That Pitikra Oivav Shel Nasarim B'Chudin. We're going to see it has to be the oivav has to be a tefach and you don't have it. In other words, the way the beam is situated, we're not going to say pitikra, but we'll see that tomorrow. Amalei Rava Labaya, Amalei Rava, who said that what you don't say pitikra. Labaya says you do say pitikra. L'didach down in pitikra yari v'saisim. I feel a hifchis toifinem tsoy. Even if the middle wall should break away, guys. Let's say this back wall falls away. Let's say this back wall falls away and it looks like this. Once you're saying pitikra in the psimim, why don't you say pitikra on the back walls? In other words, it's even a bigger chiddush. You only have a 2-walled sukkah, and you can use the pitikra in the 3rd walls. Shragi asked me this. Shragi, this is you asked me the 4 walls. Can you go ahead wide and do it pitikra? This is the sugya, right? Remember you asked me let him for all 4 walls, and I told you we'll get to it. So this is the sugya today and tomorrow. The sugya. So Rabbi says once you're coming out to pitikra, why do you need a 3rd wall? You could even say P-tikra to create the 3rd wall. The P-tikra means the opening of the tikra. Your view is going down. So on that, Amalei, Abaye tells Rava, Modin l'chabahu, I'm moided to you in this, the havlei kimavoy I'm foolish. That what? It's a mavoy foolish. And Be'ez Hashem, we're going to see tomorrow, I'm going to have to go over this again. The machlokes in Rav and Abaya is totally in machlokes Rav and Shmuel. But since today is a really busy day, I figured let's do this early. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining on such late notice. I appreciate it. Have a great day.